friends, today we're going to be making, or at least starting up, our new tapestry. In this case is going to be a skeleton cat. I think it's very cute, and we're going to be using a Tunisian simple stitch. So now we're going to chain 23 chains, and this is a fairly simple project, so I think you can get away with a regular crochet hook. In my case, I'm using a longer crochet hook. It's a Tunisian crochet hook. And we're going to work onto the back side of our chains, so we're going to turn our work, and if you run your fingers through your chains, you feel little bumps, and we're going to work onto those bumps right there. We're going to skip that very first bump. As you can see, that very first bump we're going to skip. It corresponds to this stitch right here, and this stitch always counts as one, so we're going to go straight to the second one. And if you ever feel that you're struggling to insert your hook onto those bumps, that probably means because you probably had a tighter of a tension when you were creating your chains. So you can always undo the chains and do them a little bit loose. So we're going to insert our hook to that bump, those bumps as you can see right there. Yarn over and pull, and we're going to keep our stitches in our hook. We should end up with 23 stitches. And once you have all of your stitches in your hook, we're going to do a return pass, because Tunisian simple stitch has a forwards and a backwards within one row. So we're going to chain one onto the very last stitch. We're going to grab our yarn and pull through that very last stitch. Grab our yarn and pull through two. Grab our yarn and pull through two, all the way down our row. And this is how your foundation row should look like. And then we're going to do a second row, which is also a solid color, but I'll show you the repeat for the rest of our project. Always counting this stitch as one. We're going to insert our hook onto that front loop only of our previous row, so these loops right here. Yarn over and pull. Again, only the front loop of our previous row, yarn over and pull. And we'll do this all the way down our row, as it is a solid color row too. And once again, when you reach your final stitch, we're going to chain one onto the very last stitch always. We're going to grab our yarn and pull through two, all the way down our row. And if you feel that your project is curling, you can always add a little bit of a counterweight. I always have these clamps on hand. I got it from the dollar store, and they're pretty useful for these types of projects. And then we're gonna go straight to our third row. In this case, the third row is actually always kind of important. We're going to get to introduce a new color. So we're going to do 5 purple stitches, just like so. And we're going to grab our black color. I like to keep multiple cakes of the multiple colors that I'm using, just so that I don't create a little bit of a waste. And we're going to do exactly the same. We're gonna insert our hook onto that front loop only, yarn over with a new color, and we continue to do this for 3 stitches. And I like to move my tail back and forth so that it catches, just like this. We're going to drop our black and pick up our purple once again. And we're going to do 7 stitches with our purple, just making sure that this piece of back yarn is nice and loose. And you can always, for our little feet of our cat, you can always grab this piece of yarn from all the way over here and grab it and pull it all the way to the other side, but in my case I just do not like to create that middle waist, so I'm just going to have another cake of black yarn for the other side of our cat, and we get to introduce it just like we did before. And we should end up with 5 purple stitches. Just like so. And then we're going to do our return pass, again chaining 1 onto the very last stitch, grabbing our yarn and pulling through 2, pulling through 2, pulling through 2 until we reach this point right here. So this general rule is that if we have 2 different color stitches in your hook, the first and second, you always use that second color stitch to pull through. So in this case, we're going to drop our purple, we're going to pick up our black, and we're going to pull through that purple and through that very first black stitch. We're going to grab our yarn and pull through 2, and again 2 different color stitches means that we use that second color stitch. So we drop our black and we pull through that black and through that very first purple stitch, and we continue to do this motion until we finish our row. And your third row should look just like this. And this is actually where I'm going to leave my explanation, because it is pretty self-explanatory. The next stitches or the next rows are going to be exactly the same as I've taught you, and the color introduction is exactly the same. So everything that you need to know is within these 3 rows. And of course, I'll leave down below the Pinterest pin that I'm following, or you can always take a screenshot of the picture on screen.